Bringing in the man, the myth, the legend, Jeff Goodman. Are you live from Newburyport, Massachusetts, my man?
I am, and this is 30 minutes of hell, probably for Arkansas fans having a look at me for the next 30 minutes.
We're going to set the record straight. You and Razorback Twitter are going to be like two peas in a pod. You're going to be laying next to each other in the bed tonight, texting sweet nothings to each other, okay? Direct messaging.
The thing is, Pat, here's the deal. Nobody applauded the hire of Eric Musselman more than me. I think he's a hell of a coach. He did an incredible job last year. The problem that Arkansas fans had with me this year is I called this one. And I actually called it last year. I said they were really good. They were going to be really good. The problem they had with me was I said they shouldn't be ranked 3-4 weeks ago because they hadn't beaten anybody. And I watched that team, and I'm like, you know what? They're missing something. They're missing a star.
Isn't it crazy? Yeah, isn't it crazy? Like, you can see a team in some games. I was thinking about this as I was flying back tonight because we had 4 SEC games last night. I was in studio, and I got to come up with things to say. You know what I mean? Sure. It's like, and I'm thinking about some games and some teams you just can't put your finger on. In this Arkansas team, and Coach Muss has talked about how he said it in a way, yes, something's missing. And he mentioned leadership. And I see it and I go, yeah, there is just something there, whether it's guys understanding how to come together as a team. We throw these words out, defining roles, identifying roles, once you figure out your role. But when you look at last year's team, they were sort of similar early on. It was like, what is this team? What's their identity? They go to Tennessee, they lose by 3. In that game, although the next game they lose by 30 to Bama, but it was that game where you could see, okay, Jalen Tate, he's the point guard. He's getting things, and then you saw Moses Moore. Guys were like almost accepting even their teammates' roles. But it's crazy, Jeff. It's like, I'm sure, you obviously, you watch so much hoops more than anybody. It's tough to put your finger on, like, what is this team?
How they can't shoot. They can't shoot this year.
So that's my brother. I had an hour argument with my brother last night after the game about their lack of shooting. And I go, Rich, they couldn't shoot it last year, but they got to the free throw line. So it's, but you're right, though. I mean, everyone loves a shooter. I know that.
Well, Moses Moody, listen, I know the percentage wasn't like off the chart. He wasn't like 43, 44. Everybody knew Moses Moody could shoot the hell out of the ball. So what you have to do, you had to go out and respect him and press up on him, right, and close out on him. And what does that do in turn? It gives other guys space to work with. Now there's no longer that space, those driving lanes that other guys had last year that they don't have this year.
So Jackson Robinson, transfer from Texas A&M, he comes in and it was 2-3 games ago. He's knocking down shots. It's like, okay, here's a solution. But I think you're right. It is the Chris Likes transfer from Miami. Obviously, he's a guy that he can shoot it, but he loves to attack you. He needs room. Yeah, and
he's a high volume guy. I don't love those high volume guys, Pat. Like, I didn't love him at Miami, to be honest. He lost a lot of games. He was a guy that you didn't know what you were going to get from game to game. Now, he could put up numbers some games, and he's tiny. He's tiny. Yeah. I don't love tiny guards. I don't.
Yeah. Especially on the other end when he's not creating havoc on the defensive end. Like, it's funny, though. You look at the SEC. This is just a little – so Wendell Green last night, Auburn.
Yep.
I mean, he's a little guy. He's got to be under 6 feet. Xavier Wheeler, under 6 feet. Chris Likes, under 6 feet. You can see how their explosiveness, you can kind of, you can like that. But you're right. I mean, at some point, it becomes, I played with a guy, Kareem Reed. I know people probably get sick of me saying this.
Yeah.
Under 6 feet. Jeff, I've never seen, no, I can't say I've never seen, but he was somebody who, if he wanted to, from a defensive standpoint, he could change the game.
It was tough as shit.
saw him do it because he could get up in you, and that was it. Now, off the ball is a different story. Kareem, I love you, but off because he's always trying to get it. Hey, he's like the safety back there. You know what I mean? He's trying to get a pick six.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of it too. Is like this Razorback team. They've got to. I don't know. Can you get tough? Can you get feisty?
You got to get connected. They've got tough guys, Pat. It's not that they don't like. Audius Tony is tough. Chris Likes is tough inherently in them. I'm not questioning their inner toughness. I'm questioning their commitment to defending, their commitment to playing hard in every possession for the team, not for them. And I feel like the only issue with Muss, and this is a 1-year thing now. I don't think you're going to see this again next year because, man, as I tweeted the other day, like next year, Arkansas is going to be a problem for people. Like you're not going to find a bigger fan of Nick Smith than me, period.
Right.
This dude is a stud, stud. Like I think he can be an NBA All-Star down the road. I think he's that talented. But when you roll the dice with transfers every single year and a bunch of them, again, Audius Tony, there were some questions with him at Pittsburgh, not just him, all those guys who left Pittsburgh. They lost a lot of games. There were some internal issues. Chris Likes had lost a lot of games. And now you've got like, I like JD, but like if he's your best player, that's not enough. That's not enough to have a team that can they get in the tournament? Yes. Listen, if Arkansas now after watching last night, you lose to Vandy at home.
A tournament team's not losing Vandy at home. Nothing against Vandy. I love Vandy. Although, do you credit some of it to Scottie Pippen sitting courtside?
Maybe. I don't know. You think these kids? You think these kids even know who Scottie Pippen is?
I know, right? Well, it was funny during the broadcast. They were like, Dane Bradshaw was doing. He's like, Scottie Pippen Sr. is yelling to Scottie Pippen Jr. during the game, post him up. And it was working.
Well, I mean, again, you can't lose. Vandy's not good. Yeah. They're just not a good team. So now you're putting yourself in the equation where you're not in that upper tier where people had them going into the season fighting, Kentucky and Alabama and Auburn. And so now it's just honestly get in the middle tier, get out of the Vandy, Texas A&M, Georgia realm. And you got to, now you got a big one like at Texas A&M. You better win that one.
Going down there is not going to be easy. It's going to be another sort of difficult, uncomfortable game. Mississippi State was the same way. It's not going to be a pretty game. So that's not an easy. You looked at the schedule, how it's set up for the Razorbacks. A lot of people said, "Oh, okay. Well, the first part of the SEC schedule was favorable, because you had, the teams that were maybe in the bottom.
Vandy, A&M, Missouri, right?
Now, good luck. But you know what all those teams have in common? I said it last night. Vandy's not going to give you an inch. Like they'll fight you. They'll. Texas A&M, same. Missouri. I mean, come on now. Conzo is going to have his guys at least prepared for that. So it's going to be an uphill battle. I know one thing, as you do, Muss he's gonna keep switching things around now. He's gonna
again this year might be an NIT year, which we didn't think we'd say, right? We thought they'd be a lock for the NCAA tournament because it's worked for him at Nevada and Arkansas with the transfer game. It's really worked for him. But again, you keep rolling the dice. Sometimes you come up craps, Pat.
Yeah, right.
It
is with the transfers. We used to say this against junior college guys, like we used to get the JC guys back in the day.
Right.
And year one, a lot of times there wasn't high production. It was that next year that they were able to give you high production. And unless you had, some guys that were just, the top of the top. Yeah. So I wonder if that's probably what's happening now. And you go back to last year's team, they had 3 big name transfers: Vance Jackson, Jalen Tate, and Justin Smith. Vance Jackson didn't work out. Good player, just didn't work out. And so you kind of knew this year a couple, maybe one or two wasn't going to pan out the way you thought it was.
Their numbers are okay, right? Like, and likes Tony Moody, they're all in double figures, but they're not making that type of impact on winning that to me Jalen Tate made. Jalen Tate was a winning basketball player. He came from a winning program. He won last year at Arkansas. He played the right way.
Right. And that you could tell it made a difference, and people fed off him. I don't see that right now. What is the solution? Because people are going to be asking for that. They've already had the come to Jesus meeting a couple weeks ago. It kind of, you know what I mean? It was, I don't know. But let's look at Auburn Final Four team. Do they got what you've seen?
I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet, Pat. And again, like you mentioned earlier, their point guard play has been pretty darn good with Wendell Green and Zeb Jasper.
Yeah.
Right? They've taken care of the ball. It's funny, 2 guys who transferred up. You look around the country, other situations, point guards who've transferred up. I'm looking at a kid from Coastal Carolina, Devontae Jones, who went to Michigan. He's really struggled. These 2 together for Auburn have been better than we thought, right? As a duo, they've been pretty good. I just want to see Auburn still. They beat, they beat LSU at home last week. Yeah, that was a good win. But I want to see this Auburn team go up on the road against a good top 5 SEC team, and then I'll let you know whether I think they're Final Four. I don't put them in that top tier of 8-10 teams right now. They're in the next tier, the top of the next tier.
Right.
But that next tier is very elongated for me. There's probably 20 teams in that next tier that I think can win 4 straight and get to the Final Four. But I don't think Auburn's a national title contending team yet.
You know what's funny is when they did go to the Final Four, I think we almost, they had Jared Harper, Bryce Brown.
Yeah.
They had a veteran core of those guards. Like you said, I think familiarity is so key, man. When you, especially from a guard position, just under the coach, knowing what because you can have a big game, but I think just the connection with the coach and the other players, it helps to have a guy that's already been on the roster.
Before we move on, let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at BetRivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up for BetRivers yet, now is the time, because they are offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. But what sets them apart is that they require just 1 playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. With their Rush Pay instant approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, it's more secure, and it's more reliable. Now that basketball season is tipping off, get in on the action at betrivers.com today or by downloading the BetRivers iOS app. You must be 21 years or older. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And while I got you here, let's talk about the Field of 68 Media Network, where college basketball matters most all year round. This is a digital media and podcast network that we've been building over the course of the last year. We have shows hosted by some of your favorite players covering the program that they love the most. AJ Guyton hosts the House of Hoosier. Eric Devendorf covers Syracuse on the Scorer's Table. Dan Dickow hosts the Gonzaga Bulldog broadcast. We have Florida's Patrick Young and Duke's Andre Dawkins and North Carolina's Shammond Williams and Michigan's Stu Douglas and Illinois' Deion Thomas. The list goes on and on and on. We have more than 30 shows right now. So hit the links below and check them all out. And while you're at it, make sure that you go check out the Field of 12 Media Network, your home for college football.
So just overall, what teams stand out to you overall right now
in college basketball or the SEC?
Right, overall, in the country.
I mean, to me, again, you're looking at a top tier. Baylor certainly's got to be there. I mean, they just win every game.
Did they repeat? And it's like, I mean, that's insane.
You know why? Here's why, Pat. I look around the country this year. I've been doing this a long time. I look around and I say, this is the weakest point guard group as a whole I've ever seen in college basketball. Since I was a kid watching, and then obviously since I've been covering it since the 90s. Overall, it's not great. What Baylor has is they've got James Akinjo, who is a veteran, who is tough, who can make people better, who can make shots from deep. He can get to the basket. Sean Miller coached him, and Sean does some stuff for the Field of 68. And we had him on with James. We surprised James last night after they won and had him on with Sean. And what Sean has said to me over and over is like, I don't know why, but this kid's gotten a bad rap. And he said he's as hard a worker as he's ever coached. He was up at 5:30 in the morning every day during the pandemic last year at Arizona, and not posting it on his social media, just working. So I think that's the reason why I think, they got him. They got a lottery pick in Kendall Brown, a freshman. They got guys back. Adam Flagler, transfer from Presbyterian, Matthew Meyer, who's super talented. So and Scott Drew, listen, the craziest part, Pat, is like people were killing this dude 10 years ago, saying he can't coach, right? Now, I asked Archie and Sean Miller last night, I said, like, who's picked the best X's and O's guy in the country? And they both had him in their top three.
Really?
Like I think Sean said Bill Self and Scott Drew. And I think Arch picked Beeline, who's no longer coaching right now, but he picked Beeline and had Scott Drew in his top three. So Baylor's in there, Gonzaga's in there. To me, I mean, I think Kansas has got to be in there. They're somewhere up there. Duke, Purdue, UCLA, they haven't played in a while. Those are my six right now. I think there's a little bit of a gap after those six right now. And to me, the SEC for me is still wide open at the top, whether you got Auburn, whether you got Kentucky. I'll give Kentucky
Tennessee
credit, Pat. You watched the game last night. Kentucky fought them in Baton Rouge without Wheeler and Ty and Oscar was in foul trouble.
Yeah.
Right?
They showed a lot of what their depth. I think Tennessee has depth. It's like you said, though, to be able to win 6 games over the course of 3 weeks, do you have enough of those guys that can play at that level? So let me go back to the conversation you guys are having. So would you rather your coach be that guy thought of as one of the top X and O guys, one of the top recruiters, one of the top managers of people, button pushers? What do you think is the most important when you get down to it? Because this, what do they call the Jimmies and Joes, the X and O's? You know what I mean? It's Jimmies and Joes a lot of times, and when it matters.
You better have talent. Like I'll tell you right now, you know this. You could give me or you, 5 5 All-Americans, not McDonald's All-Americans, but 5 really good players, and go throw John Beilein on the other side or Rick Pitino or whoever. If they don't have enough talent, we're still going to beat them. We don't even have to run a damn play.
Exactly.
We're still going to beat them with talent as long as it's talent that's not a bunch of turds that are all playing for themselves. And I think I think talent and managing people and again, now you could push back and say, well, listen, if that's the case, John Calipari has had talent and he's a great manager of people, but he's only won 1 title in the last 10 years. So you could easily push back at me and say you're wrong. I'll push back at you and say, yes, it's hard to win an NCAA title. It's not like the NBA finals.
Jeff,
and you're right.
Part of the argument last night with my brother, we were thinking how many current coaches have won an NCAA title. We came up, I think we came up with 8. And that's with Tubby Smith at High Point and Rick Pitino at Iona.
Right.
And then you get down to who's only won 1. Cal, Boeheim, And so there's a small, people don't understand, 352 teams. And the small percentage of these coaches that have won, and it's just, it's few and far between, man. And then to be able to talk.
Jay Wright at Villanova is one of those guys that when we talked about it before, and you said, like, now also, I think when you say talent and managing people, the other word I think you need to put it in there these days is experience.
Yeah. Right.
And that's why I thought Kentucky would be good. I went down in the preseason and I was like, you know what? And I asked Cal this. I said, Cal, like, are you going to go this route all the time now of mixing some transfers in with some really good freshmen? And you know what he said? I'll let you know after the season, which led me to believe he did not feel nearly as good about his team as I did. I just looked at Big Oscar, who's been a monster.
Right.
I thought Ty was going to be off the charts good. Kellen Grady can make shot. They finally have shot makers. Now, CJ Frederick's out for the year, but they have Kellen Grady. They have other guys that can make more shots than they've had over the last few years. So I thought this team was perfectly constructed, and maybe it will be at the end of the day. Maybe they'll be better than we think down the stretch, but they haven't been nearly as good. I mean, their best win so far, Pat, has been North Carolina, who is a fringe tournament team today.
Right. Yeah. They're struggling. Going back to that LSU, that they did show that toughness. Now, if they're healthy, that's going to be something that's huge. It's funny. It's like, I can remember Reed Travis, when he transferred from Stanford to Kentucky a few years ago. I was like, okay, something's changing here. Cal can put together the grad transfers and the freshmen to be able to put this thing together. So I think it was Tubby Smith had posted something today on Twitter about all the transfers, and he went and talked about how when he was a freshman, he called back home, said, I'm unhappy. I want to get out of here.
Yeah.
How do you think this ends up? Do you think it's slowing down? Do you think there's going to be more regulations in place?
Well, I think last year was different, right? Everybody looked at it. Oh my God, it's so out of control. There's 1,300 guys in the portal. Yeah, but that's because we gave the seniors another year.
Right, the COVID year. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So like, it's not fair to compare it to any other year. This year, it'll be some of the same because everybody got another year back. So I think the numbers are going to be inflated last year more so, even this year a little bit. Listen, it's still going to be where if you don't have to sit out the year and you get this one-time transfer waiver, there's going to be a lot of kids at the mid-major level that say, hey, you know what? In the CAA, all right, I saw, Tyson Walker go from Northeastern to Michigan State here from Boston. And he's playing a lot of minutes for Michigan State. So you know what? If he can do it, I can do it. And it's going to be a lot of that. They're going to look more at him than every other kid who maybe transferred up and never been heard from again. They just need one. All these kids need is one to look at and say, well, if he did it, I can do it.
It's funny you say that because it was my sophomore year. We go to Oral Roberts. We lose. In Tulsa, the Oral Roberts head coach was Bill Self.
Yep.
They had a kid on the team who lit us up at third. Next year, Oral Roberts comes to Bud Walton Arena. We beat them at the buzzer. Kid lights us up at 30 again. Well, that summer, this kid drives from Tulsa to Fayetteville, knocks on Coach Richardson's door, and says, I want to transfer. You saw what I did against your team. I want to transfer. I'll walk on whatever. Coach Richardson told him, go back to Tulsa, go back to Oral Roberts.
No way.
That's what he told him. So in a way, like these coaches, they're the ones that are keeping that door open. Like if you don't let transfer rule, whatever, don't take them. Coach Richardson
can't not. But if you lose them, if you're Eric Musselman and you're going to lose, now again, it's different because he's got such a damn good class, which we need to talk about for a minute. Yeah, but like if you're Muss and you lose a couple guys that you weren't expecting, well, what choice do you have but to go try to raid some other really good mid-major player or a low high major that, whether it's Chris likes or Tony that maybe hasn't panned out.
Right.
You're going to do it. I feel like, and I did a study a couple of years ago. I'm going to do it again after this year. But if
and
you
by
look
the way,
at
let me just throw this in there before you say it. My brother, Rich, went to 7. He played basketball at 7 different colleges.
Shut up. 7.
7.
All right, name them. Name the 7.
Well, we'll call Northfield Mount Herman because he did a prep year.
Yeah.
Then he went to Wheaton College. Then he went to Hastings in Nebraska, Bunker Hill Community College.
I love Bunker Hill.
He went to Saddleback College in California, out in Irvine.
Okay.
He played there. And what was the other 2? It must have been the penal institution. No, I'm just kidding. I'm forgetting 2 of them.
Bunker Hill, baby. I almost.
Hill, baby. Yeah.
We almost moved last year to a spot right in Charlestown, right near Bunker Hill.
Oh, did you really? Yeah.
Almost.
It was it was fun. He had and he went to Wentworth. Wentworth Institute.
Oh, he did. He went to Wentworth too. Wow.
Played there.
He hit them all.
He hit them all, baby.
Who did he play for at Northfield? Did he play for the old dude at Northfield?
Yeah. What was it? He
great guy. Before John
name.
Carroll.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't remember his name, but he was really great guy. Really good guy. All right, can we end on a positive note?
Yes, let's do it.
Can we end of me gushing about Nick Smith, please?
Oh, we want to hear about it. Hold on. I'm gonna bring good luck. My Larry Bird start lineup action figure.
This dude, I'm telling you, this dude is gonna be so much fun for Arkansas. And I know they don't want to close the book on this year. And hopefully Musk can get this team going. And if he can, the good thing is you can go from off the bubble. You win 3 or 4 straight in the SEC and beat some good teams and get some good home games. You have a chance to get back in on the bubble and make things interesting this year. They're not out yet, but next year, Nick Smith, man.
I have a feeling you're going to tell me how great Nick Smith is, and then the NBA is going to pass the rule tomorrow that you don't have to go to college for a year.
Hopefully not. Like, here's what I look at. When I see Nick Smith, I just see the prototypical NBA wing. Size, skill, can get to the basket, strong, athletic, can shoot it, scored all 3 levels. Like, I just absolutely fell in love with this kid when I saw him, honestly, this past July. He might have been my favorite player to watch. Shaden Sharp was right there too, and he's enrolling Kentucky. Shoot, he's probably there by now.
That kid. Yeah. Is there a chance? You think he could play this year? Is there a chance he'll play?
I don't think he's gonna. I don't know if Cal wants him to. I mean, I feel like if they really needed him, maybe Cal would throw him in there, but it's really hard for a freshman, bring him in January and just hand him the ball. Like,
right. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Especially as a point guard. That would be really hard to do. The kid, Jordan Walsh, really like him too. I actually think he's overrated ranking wise. I really like him because he plays so hard and he's athletic as hell. Mm-hmm. I just don't know how well he shoots it. And he's ranked like top 25. I would probably have him as a top 50 kid. I saw Barry Dunning over the summer too. Really, really liked him too. Talented wing. So listen, what Muss is doing, you might have a little bit of an off year this year, but to me, you had such a good year last year. I said it, and I know Arkansas fans, it's going to be like taboo, but like I said it when they made a move with Mike Anderson, I felt like it was time. Like Mike Anderson, 2 tournaments in 8 years. And I have these arguments with St. John's fans all the time now. Like if he couldn't win at a high level there, that's the ideal job for Mike Anderson. There's no better job in America for Mike Anderson. And he went to 2 tournaments in 8 years. Muss has already gone to an Elite 8 right away, right out of the gates for the most part. And next year he'll have a chance to do it again. If, again, the biggest thing for Muss always is going to be new teams, trying to get them to gel together. But talent is a question this year. It will not be a talent question next year.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I appreciate you, my man. Get some rest.
Yeah. I'm drinking some tea. There's no alcohol in here. I promise, Pat. No alcohol.
Squirt a little lemon in there. I'm going to go eat a chicken parm and then get up about 150.
You need to. You got to keep that. Listen, the way the NBA's signing guys on 10 days, maybe the Celtics are going to call you soon. I mean, Romeo Langford can't make any shots.
Didn't they? What would they go the other night? It was like 4 for 42. Something just insane.
So bad. Yeah, they're hard. They're hard to watch. And I still say, and this has not made me a fan favorite in Boston with Celtics fans, but I would dangle Jaylen Brown out there and see what you can get for him. Because it looks like when I watch him and Jason Tatum play together, it looks like they've never, ever met one another.
That's not a good thing, right? For you two budding superstars. All right, man. Appreciate it, Jeff.
Great catching up. We'll do this in person at some point soon. We'll do it in Revere Beach.
Yeah, there you go. Sammy's Club, Revere Beach.
There you go.
See you, my man. All right. See you later, bro. Thank you.
You got it.